as I've been saying, when you talk of rights, the embodiment rights are in two facets. You have civil rights as an individual, and you also have a right against a state, an individual of which is you have the right if your rights are violated as an individual. Now, you also talk of the liberties inherent within the rights. What are embedded? What are the factors? What are the factors embedded in that rights? Take for example the civil rights. You have the essentials of right to live. Within that ambit, you also have the right against the state. Like, take for example, when your rights are trampled by the state excessively. Take for example, for not acting within the law. That is, if they go outside the law, it means ultra vires, they have gone beyond the law. And then that means an administrative excesses has been involved. In such a case, you have the right to challenge that excesses. Basically, in administrative law, perhaps.
All are human rights. All the human
it's a very broad issue. Now we are trying to comprehend the right, what rights exactly is. We're trying to tabulate it.
Is this all circumstances in civil law or criminal law?
No, this is civil.
This is civil.
Civil. What I'm trying to tell you that the right itself, there can be no right without a corresponding duty. You have the right to obey the government as an individual, as a citizen. And the state has a right to protect you as a citizen as well. That's why there can be no corresponding right without you obeying the government. So when you go against the right of the government, the long arms of the law will apprehend you. Take for example, if you murder someone, you have to be imprisoned. And if the government try to do, take for example, in an immigration case, where they go beyond what they are supposed not to do, you appeal, and it will be looked into.
So what is the sweep? If we are standing on civil law, how it is sweep to criminal law?
All right, the laws are categorized. Civil, that is.
Everyone have rights.
No, civil. That is
civil.
Civil and civil. Right. I mean, the wrong committed against an individual. It's between me and you. Me and you can go to court for a dispute. You can be the complainant. I will be the defendant complaining to a competent court of law. Do you understand it? That is civil law. But criminal law is the angle of law where you commit against a crime against the government, which is a state. Take for example, if you kill somebody or if you injure somebody, you don't have to kill, you don't have to injure somebody. In such a case, you will be arrested and be taken to the court for correction, for sentences. So you see the two different things now. So, person and person against a state.
So all the judges, this criminal law and civil law is mentioned by the judges.
in all these cases, somebody has to preside over the case, like a judge. between two people, and even between against the government, there must always be a judge. A judge is just the arbiter of
So
the,
how they sweep to civil law to criminal law?
the difference. Is it what you mean?
Yes.
The difference is that, as I told you, civil is civil. That is people. Me and you can have dispute as two people. You will then go to the court to complain that Johnson is owing me and he has refused to pay me. Let the court get that money from him and give to me. You understand?
Mhm.
That is civil. Two people dispute. But in criminal law, criminal case is presided over, pursued by the government. Take for example theft. If you commit a criminal offense like stealing, like killing, anything which the law of a state does not want, in such a case, it is the crime that will be prosecuting you, the government that will prosecuting you to say, Johnson, what you have done is bad. Therefore, you don't have to do that.
So
That is the big difference between the criminal law and the civil law.
So who will decide it is criminal law, it is civil law? Who is
Sometimes judges, it depends. Sometimes tribunal, but there must have to be an arbiter. That is somebody who can look at it and say, call a wrong a wrong.
So in that time, the case is 100% depend on the court.
The court now, that's where these
Everything.
rights are.
So
Decided.
human right courts and any activities to sweep all the cases to the
Human right cases, it depends on the right that is breached, violated.
so all the cases is criminal law.
Even in civil law
Mhm.
and even in a criminal law, there has to be a breach in which you are now seeking for the redress. It's all about seeking for a redress.
Mhm.
But that's one thing you must have to know. No matter what, we are not talking of procedure anyway. We are talking of rights. We are talking of rights, not this procedure. Because the procedure, after, is within the right.
Our subject is ex-prime minister killing lots of people. New government came and placed a case against her.
Let me come in here now. That prime minister, whether he is representing the government or he is an individual in the crowd, even so, there's a place where that redress has to be sought. You understand what I mean?
Mhm.
Like that prime minister, if that prime minister kills, because he has done something against the state, because there must be a law that nobody has right to kill. In such a case, there has to be a presentation to a higher confines, like human rights, United Nations, and that kind of a thing. It's not. If look at this thing now. That man, person you are talking about now, is representing a people as a government, not an individual. In such a case, you cannot take the whole of the individual. Of course, you can anyway, suing a group of people to a court. Now, this United Nations you're talking about, civil justice, is now acting as a court.
So it is very difficult to find out who is the criminal.
No, it is not. How can it be difficult? It's not difficult. It can't be difficult to find. One party must always be in the
Convicted.
right. One party must always on the wrong.
So all the evidence and records.
When you talk of evidence, evidence is the soul of the case. What the court will look at is called the evidence.
It will take time.
The evidence, yeah, that is the procedure. The procedure is called the evidence. The court will look into the circumstances, the causes and effect, and all those things. Bring all together. It's called the evidence.
So what is your comments about Bangladesh, this situation?
Yeah, I mean, in all cases, things that are happening now is beyond human comprehension. Like, if you don't know your rights, your right will be trampled on. You understand? A group of people can come to your place, like what is happening in my place. People that came and settled, and then the government trying to be so stupid, corrupt, and all those kind of something. In such a case, now the bigger hand will take side with this, with the other, yes,
poor people,
to suppress or to annex.
So it is happening on in civil rights.
The whole world this thing is happening.
Money is everything.
Not necessarily, but it's like
big hand, big advisor.
Yeah, it's like
big brother,
stronger power trying to suppress a smaller power.
Smaller power.
Yes.
Big hand and smaller.
In all ramifications, in all angles.
So who is with the people, poor people, small, weak people?
No,
Allah, God.
All these things then now, like you play what is happening in my place and what is happening in your place now. One people must always be at the right.
Either he is poor, either he is right.
Yes,
rich.
Because the stronger hand will always want to suppress the weaker side by means of politics, by means of money, wealth, by means of position, anything at all. But these people trying to do all this, they know the right and wrong. It's not that they don't know. There must always be a right, and there must always be a wrong party.
So, this case, we need a good lawyer, educated and well-known lawyer.
It's a law.
Law.
This law does not necessarily mean that somebody, the man you are going to meet, has PhD, as they used to call it. No. It's experience. It's experience. The law is experience, knowing what you are. It's like a good man on the horse. Your ruling horse will be properly controlled. Yes.
And unknown people did not control the horse.
You see, when the case goes to court, what if somebody is a doctor, a professor,
nothing.
A doctor of letter,
no.
and somebody who has very sharp brain? He will tell this man to go and read again, or to go and look at himself again. It's procedural. The procedure is procedural. With evidence. So that in law, evidence has power.
Okay. Right. Thank you very much, Mr. Paul.